Looks like we have a 3-in-1 match here still going. One curly boy is a game up from Discord chat, and the fact that Devastating Mastery is in the graveyard. I'm going to say this is the Falcon version of blue-white control, where you donate stuff with Coveted Falcon to draw a bunch of cards, but it is still kind of fundamentally a blue-white control deck, although it does have give you 9 lives and then remove it somehow or something. Win. Is that right? I'm not sure. But yeah, blue-white, but an interesting take. Right now, though, beating down for 3 was Cave of the Frost Dragon with 7 cards in hand. Not quite sure what that means. Just kind of daring VelociHat to have some kind of answer to the cave, maybe holding up Forbid or something. Does seem like it'd be pretty easy to force a Trawler or a maybe even a Approach of the Second Sun through 3 mana, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe one curly boy has enough in hand to not care about that, and they'd rather just push some damage and bring things to a head. Looks like VelociHat doesn't have anything they want to try and push through. Alright, tapping out to gain some life. Didn't like that. Somehow some kind of beatdown battle, gaining 14 life, not acceptable. Worth spending a counterspell on when you're going to go to discard anyway, perhaps. Conditional counterspell at that. One of my favourite PD cards, Hieroglyphic Illumination. I think probably completely outclassed by Deduce these days, but I still like it. I don't know when you want more than 4 Deduce in your deck, but if you do, Hieroglyphic Illumination might be your man. So here's 9 lives.
Wow, settled this.
And here's a Falcon, presumably. Sneaking in under No More Lies, but not Out of Air or Forbid. There's an Out of Air. Yeah, so when it leaves the battlefield, it loses the game. So if you manage to donate it with the Falcon, and then sort of sweep everything with this Devastating Mastery, that's a weird 3-card win out of this otherwise pretty normal blue-white control. VelociHat thinks now is the time to push Approach of the Second Sun, and this might be the second one. Looking at the blue text on it, I'm not quite sure if that's how it goes. If so, this is a game-winning counterspell, presumably, coming up. Okay, 1-1. I guess the nature of commenting on the end of rounds is that you get the blue-white control on the yours-off matches a lot more than you get anything else. But yeah, interesting to die with 6 cards in hand. You know that Approach has been cast before, and presumably that it's coming up again soonish. But perhaps they had the win somehow if they donated the No More Lies or something. I don't know. So, Coveted Falcon, I don't know what this deck is called really, just the Coveted Falcon deck is on the play in game 3. Presumably the play doesn't matter much in this matchup. I don't know what the curve out win would look like for either of these decks. I mean, some crappy. I don't know. Probably there isn't one. So, closest thing to a draw first matchup in Penny Dreadful, but you definitely want the mana advantage. So, tap lands around, all around, more tap lands. Temple of Enlightenment makes me wonder if this deck has Field of the Dead in it, because it's pretty low down the list of quality blue-white lands. Maybe if you're trying to make one white for No More Lies, and maybe even blue for Out of Air or something, you kind of prize a lot of duels. Well, there's the answer to my question. Field of the Dead is in this deck. And, I guess one curly boy has put the question to VelociHat. It's definitely possible to approach with the Second Sun twice before Field of the Dead makes, lethal attackers, especially with a bunch of interaction. Maybe there's some wraths still in after board or whatever, but it does seem kind of tough. I would be pretty concerned if I were VelociHat. We did see a Volatile Fjord on the battlefield in the last game, but it was for one curly boy and not for VelociHat, so probably no answer to the field. So just got to kind of find a way to win before being overwhelmed. One curly boy presumably really good at hitting land drops, so the question has been asked. VelociHat looking to dig to some kind of plan here with Search, deemed worthy of a counter by Curly. Maybe fighting back here. No, happy to let it go. You do wonder if, as counter with one card in graveyard, can really flip before Field of the Dead becomes an issue. Oh, looks like we're missing a land drop, which makes the whole Field of the Dead plan much weaker to miss 5th, and even to make a second Field of the Dead as 5th, extremely weaker than any other land that isn't a duplicate. So a lot of hope there for VelociHat, who also is drawing main phase, so probably also missing a land drop. Yup. Did they hit? They did. Okay. So discarding to hand size because of all the deducing. And over to Curly. Really needs a non-duplicate land here to execute this plan. Otherwise, really letting VelociHat in to a game that they were under pressure in. There's an island. Getting in for a cheeky 4? No. Deciding it's better to not die to a Dream Trawler than to get in for a cheeky 4 in a game that you have the long game sewn up in already. 5 different lands right now. 2 more needed before the first trigger, but it will be 2 zombies. Main phase dig, looking for lands. Deemed worthy of an absorb. Did not tap a field for the colourless, which is interesting. Telegraphing no. Oh, telegraphing nothing because that was the end of turn. Nine lives is down, so definitely banking on VelociHat not having some kind of sweep or non-land permanence or something. And sneaking in a Falcon. So no land drop, off the Field of the Dead plan, all my concentration on that deemed irrelevant. We're going to donate our 9 lives and then maybe sweep it away, take the game that way. Untapping with the Falcon. This is a free draw and donate anytime for some amount of mana. Presumably into 7 cards you can't really donate it and go for the 6 mana sweeper though. Although you could maybe have foretold it here, so perhaps they don't have it in hand. In a turn, flip the Falcon, donate the 9 lives, draw a card. So, Devastating Mastery, if that's in fact what it's called, is now lethal. Huh. Main phase Netherhall. Just not sure why, in case they cast a spell in combat against the Falcon maybe? Or maybe just to save time with 4 minutes on the clock, 5 minutes on the clock. A lot of avenues, planes played, so there's a lot of avenues here for Curly. The next land, as long as it's not a duplicate, makes 2 zombies. Has a kind of unkillable Netherhall. And if at any time they're able to destroy the 9 lives, they win the game on the spot. A lot of nice things going on. VelociHat could tap out for Approach and hope to win before they die. Does leave them dead to Devastating Mastery. But they are under the gun in many ways here. Curly could attack for 12 here with the Colonnade. The land is a dupe, so going for combat damage. Man land's kind of a bane of control decks in general. 12 into a 20 life player is pretty good. I'm gonna try and whale something maybe, or 3 mana? Oh, 4 mana, settle. Okay, so this is very good. Can save the 7/7, so only really losing the 1/4 that doesn't matter, and the man land. Getting basic lands, which does not tragically trigger Field of the Dead. 1 more named land, and that would have been 4 zombies, which would have been very nice. But still this 7/7, still the threat of the zombies, still the threat of the Devastating Mastery. So, advantage Curly. You do have to discard either 2 or 3, I forget which. 3 cards to keep the Netherhall alive through removal. We lost Orator of Ojutai and 2 lands, one of which, Mystic Gate, would have triggered the field. So it's kind of interesting that that didn't get played at some point. So VelociHat hoping to... Oh, of course these attacks are taking counters off the 9 lives, not doing damage to the life total. Missed that for a moment. But yeah, 3 more hits, so I guess kind of worse than attacking for damage. But we're going to make a Dream Trawler as some kind of blocker / card drawer. So just asking for a discard here with the path. Presumably VelociHat has one to give. Discards a Condemn. Pretty interesting that there are no zombies, whereas the zombies are, you know... Oh! So just asking for sort of endless discard by shooting these paths. There goes a win condition. And 9 lives ticks down, presumably to 2 counters. Oh, it's going up to 9. Well, I don't understand this card at all, but there we go. Oh, and in fact, there was another type of land, but it's only the 6th. And now the stream trawler that could have been fogged with the path instead gets to get in. Oh, we're pathing. Okay, so I think Curly is feeling the time pressure here, because there's no need to let them draw a card and gain 4 life, 5 life here. Although I guess maybe the 9 lives is going to be the thing that determines this one way or another. Froze the orator in front of it. No real use for that right now. No end of turn play. Okay, so this, if it resolves, wins the game. So naturally, VelociHat fights over it. And even before seeing the drawn card, Curly is going to cycle. Definitely feeling time pressure, I would say. Slightly out of air. Works out just fine. 9 lives. Are they in the chump block? No, it goes to 5. Maybe the stream trawler can dig them out of this hole. The life total being kind of irrelevant unless a detention sphere or a disenchant comes to destroy this 9 lives, and that would lose the game for VelociHat. So really, it's just a case of keeping it in play. So I think VelociHat's life total totally irrelevant, but drawing a card on attack definitely good. Playing their own 9 lives. I'm not sure. It's an active player, non-active player who loses the game now if one of those Cleansing Nova type cards resolves. Do we have a settle? Just happy to let it go to 6 counters. So I think a sorcery speed way to get rid of like a detention sphere on your own 9 lives, or the cleansing nova effects, because of active player, non-active player, this is a win for Curly, because the lose the game triggers will go on the stack in that order. So I must fight this. It is game winning, match winning. Has an out of air, draw from Netherhall, 2 minutes on the clock. No interaction for that. Follow-up is another attempt to win the game on the spot. Response is forbid with buyback. So maybe a jump block from Dream Trawler here. It stayed back. Nope. Going to 7. Somehow this Field of the Dead that I was pointing out as so relevant have not triggered even once in this game. Totally undecisive. And this wins the game for VelociHat for the exact same reason. They target their own 9 lives, they both leave, and wow, hoisted by your own petard, as the saying has it. Can't imagine a 1-mana answer to this situation.
But they missed it.
Oh, they aimed it at Netherhall. Okay, they didn't see it. Well, one Curly boy, presumably playing the Falcon deck, well aware that they got away with something there. Now able to attack, trying to put the 8th counter on. Probably double block here, or yeah, double block I would guess. Tapping pretty low, opening the door to a 900th cleansing them over type effect. So would you exile Netherhall and go to no cards in hand here? Probably not, so you just Trading for the land. Again, I think time pressure telling. He probably wanted to trade for Dream Trawler. And then just making a 5-5. This could definitely go to time. Make 2 guys. 2 counters needed on 9 lives. This one has swung a couple times. It's probably going to time at this point. Could suicide a Timeless Dragon into this. Oh, it's not even suicide because it's a 3-5. So I guess the attacks are pretty good here. Any friggin' non-basic land is very good. Makes 2 zombies, both of which are now lethal. But no dice. I mean, the current board state is lethal. Scry puts 1 top, 1 bottom, so presumably there's an answer to one of these creatures or something. It is in fact a dragon of 1 zone. Trying to counter it, and actually tapped out of white mana there, so wouldn't have been able to make a 4-4. But Forbid blocks the counterspell. So an interesting spot. 58 seconds to go. 1 hit with anything needed. Makes a 2-2 with Phantom Interference. Possibly lethal. And we are fighting over that with another Forbid, the last card in hand. It is good enough. So we can force blocks here, but it doesn't gain us very much. Maybe it's good. Oh! Discards an irrigated farmland that could have made 2 lethal zombies against a player with no cards in hand here. I think probably a mistake, decides not to attack, and makes another 9 lives. 37 seconds on the clock. Time pressure extremely telling here. I guess you just have to stand pat and hope to win on time here as VelociHat. I think the attack is actually good, right? Because Trawler can't trade for either, and there'd be a trade dragon on dragon, then you make another dragon. I don't know about good, but it's fine. So nothing doing from VelociHat, 2 cards in hand. Curly is writing in the chat. Let's see the extreme confidence or or misstep. 2 cards in hand for VelociHat. It's definitely going right to the wire. Maybe a Wrath. Or just considering the attack for a while. Drawing off Deduce. 21 seconds for Curly. Still lethal on board. Detention Sphere. Pretty good here. Takes out both Timeless Dragons and all 3 Timeless Dragons, and they can't be brought back. I think non-basic land pass would be pretty good. Wrath is pretty terrible. Just eats a few seconds off the clock, and it really looks like it's going to be victory on time for VelociHat, who even has time to scry end of turn with their luxury of 90 seconds on the clock against 11. Draws off the clue. Another Phantom Interference would have probably been lethal there. Plays land, but it is a prairie stream and does not make any zombies. So my early chat about how these Field of the Deads were going to be relevant proven utterly beyond wrong. One Curly Boy doesn't even feel like he needs to scribe 2 seconds on opponent's clock. That looks like it's it. Well, they had many angles of attack and none of them panned out. Alright, and that's probably the end of round 5. Looks that way. Okay, everybody, good luck in the rest.